Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be looking at the 2024 presidential election and making a very bulletproof and accurate 2024 election prediction between John Delaney and Jeb Bush. So before we get started, I just want to announce that I probably won't be posting over the weekend. This will probably be my last upload for maybe 5 to 7 days, because I am going to be on spring break and I will be in Santa Barbara, California. For those of you who don't know, it's in Southern California. So that's going to be fun, but unfortunately, I'm not going to bring my microphone or my mouse or my computer equipment to film. So this is going to be the last video they're going to see from me for the next couple of days, but don't worry, I'll be back and better than ever when I do come back from Santa Barbara. So without further ado, let's get started. And take a look at the 2024 election map and make a very accurate prediction. So, Jeb Bush, I think he has some safe states. I think, for obvious reason, Washington, California, Hawaii, Illinois, he's very popular in these states. Like, he can get the insane turnout that he needs from, San Francisco and Los Angeles and Chicago. Jeb would do very well in the Northeast. He'd also carry Florida safe because he's from there and he's very, very popular there, and they love Jeb. So those would be the safe states for Jeb. And then for John Delaney, he would do very well in Idaho, Montana. Now, Wyoming, I think we all know that Wyoming doesn't exist. We're just going to do disable because Wyoming does not exist, and I think you're crazy if you think otherwise. So Delaney, he'd carry the Dakotas. He'd probably win all of Nebraska except the 2nd district. Jeb's very popular in the 2nd district. He'd win it by a likely margin. But he'd win Kansas safe. He'd win Oklahoma safe. He'd win Utah safe. All these states, he'd win them by safe margins because, as we all know, John Delaney, very popular candidate. And Alaska, I think, usually it's more competitive, but John Delaney could carry Alaska quite easily, in my opinion. So, yeah, now for Jeb, I think Jeb would win New Mexico and Colorado by likely margins. He's very popular here, and I think that he has tremendous appeal to these people, especially suburban voters outside of Denver and Colorado specifically. They love Jeb Bush. There were, when I was in Denver back in 2016, I did see a little bit of red on someone's house, and I think that, the red looks kind of like Jeb Bush's 2016 campaign Logan. Logan. I sound like an idiot right now. Logo, right? Or I'm butchering that too. Logo. And I think that is really symbolic, and it shows you how popular Jeb is in these places. Like suburban Denver and, of course, New Mexico, known for its very big cities, will definitely help Jeb do well there. Now, John Delaney, he's not out of it yet. He can still win a lot of these states, like Texas. I think he's very popular in Texas, especially in Loving County, which, as we all know, is the key part of Texas politics. I mean, whoever wins Loving County usually wins the state because it's just so big and, fascinating. It has billions of people who live in Loving County, and it's very densely populated, and I think that Delaney would campaign in Loving, and I think he'd do very, very well there. He'd also win Iowa and Ohio by pretty solid margins. I mean, Delaney, he has, his father was a union electrician, and I think that, with suburban electricians who are fans of Elton John in Northern Ohio, I think those people, they really connect with John Delaney at a personal level. And as for the farmers in Iowa who like eating Wheaties in the morning, I think, John Delaney, he likes Wheaties too, and I think that he can connect with these voters who, talk about cereal with them, and then, just casually slip in, hey, maybe you should vote for me on Tuesday, and that. So I think that's what's going to deliver him the victories in Iowa and Ohio. And then I also think he'd win South Carolina by a likely margin. I mean, these are states that are pretty solid for Delaney, and talking about South Carolina, they have a significant black population, which Delaney has good appeal to, and black voters who enjoy listening to Harry Styles music. He could really, obviously he likes Elton John, but when he listens to Harry Styles, I think he can, listen to them, share earbuds with these voters and connect to them. He also has appeal to suburban white voters who enjoy eating dinner earlier. So, for those of you who don't know, most people eat dinner at like 8 o'clock, but, there's some suburban white voters who eat dinner at 6 o'clock, and that's the demographic that's going to swing the state one way or another, and I think Delaney has such good appeal to them that he can win South Carolina and landslide. Now, Jeb, as we all know, he has some lean states. Well, first of all, I think Minnesota is likely for Jeb Bush. I mean, he could do really well in the Iron Range with his really staunch working class support that has been evident. I mean, they came out for him during the primaries, and they'd probably come out for him again. And, he can connect with these voters. I'd like to talk about John Delaney has some, he can connect with them over cereal and music. Jeb Bush can connect with them over video games. Like, he can play FIFA with, younger college students in Minneapolis studying at the University of Minnesota, if that's even where it is. I hope it's there, but yeah. Now, for our lean Jeb Bush states, I think that Virginia is a lean Jeb Bush state. I mean, as we all know, Virginia is a state that Jeb Bush did not do well in 2010 when he first ran for Supreme Leader of the Empire. But since then, his approval rating has gone up. It was when he ran, it was only at 103%. Now it's at 167%, which is really solid. And I think that in a state like Virginia, that's going to translate. And he can talk to people on the beach who enjoy listening to hip-hop music. And that is a demographic that is going to come out for him. They came out for him in the primaries, and I think that they can really come out for him again. So now talking about Maine, I think he'd win Maine at large by a likely margin. Forgot to talk about that. New Hampshire by a likely margin as well. And after seeing the primaries, I'm convinced that John Delaney will never ever do well with middle-aged firefighters who enjoy playing basketball in their spare time. It's just a demographic that he's really not doing well with. So yeah. Now moving on to our I think it's we still have, I think there is that Nevada would be lean for Jeb. Just because, he campaigned in these bigger counties like Esmeralda and Pershing County. These are the big population centers in Nevada. Now going over to our lean John Delaney states. Now, this is a controversial take here, but I really, really think that in Maine's 2nd District, I think that car salesmen who like to play football in their spare time would be a huge demographic for him. They'd come out for him, and they could talk about politics with him. And we also have to remember that the libertarian vote, and these libertarians in Piscataquis County, Maine, they are libertarians who want bipartisanship. Will probably, I'm 86% sure that they'd come out for John Delaney, and for that reason, I think that I'd have to give him the victory here. And I think that we can also talk about, parents of elementary school students who like to play Pokemon Go, because obviously it's not a very popular game, but it's a very select group of parents, and I think that they can, really talk with that on a personal level. I also think that John Delaney would probably win North Carolina by a lean margin. He's just so popular there, and I think that, he could, he could connect with, in my opinion, 67-year-old police officers who reside in the Appalachian part of the state. And I think that these police officers, listen, they're not swing voters. They are usually Republicans, but if John Delaney has appealed to these voters in the eastern or in the western part of North Carolina, he can do so much with that demographic, and I think for that reason it's going to give him the win here. Plus, we have to talk about people who ran for mayor in towns in between 10,000 and 20,000 people. These candidates, they can connect with John Delaney at a very, very personal level, and I've been saying that a lot, but really, I think John Delaney has tremendous appeal to these people. So, now I think that all these states are, first of all, I think Oregon's the most competitive state, obviously, for obvious reasons now, because Red Eagle Politics told me that it was a competitive state, so I think for that reason, Oregon, definitely a state that is probably going to go either way under one vote. I mean, it's probably going to go either candidate by, like half a vote or something like that. But I think that Jeb Bush having the ability to speak with these rural farmers who like to listen to Cardi B while they, pick their weeds out of the ground, I think that that's going to give him the victory here. Now, taking a look at John Delaney, I think he's got one state left, and I think that he'd probably win the state of Pennsylvania because he's from Maryland, and obviously Maryland being his home state is close to Pennsylvania, and for that reason, I think that as long as he holds on to the middle-aged paper company workers, like, in Scranton, Dunder Mifflin, obviously, he can still do very well in Pennsylvania. So I think for that reason, he'd perform very well in Pennsylvania. But the rest of these states go to John Delaney by tilt margins. I mean, I've seen enough. I'm sorry. Oops. I meant Jeb Bush. I think Jeb, he'd carry all these states by very narrow margins. Now, I think Florida, he'd win Florida because, of course, he is from Florida. And I think that, he could convince some people from Florida to just move into southern Georgia and vote for him and then move back to Florida. So I think that's the difference there. In Arizona, I think that, generally speaking, people who work at McDonald's, they are very solid. These are solid libertarian voting blocks, but in the past. But I think that Jeb has that appeal to them because his policies who'd they benefit? They wouldn't benefit, 46 to 48-year-old teachers from private schools. They wouldn't benefit 89-year-old police officers residing in small towns. No, they'd benefit these McDonald's workers in Arizona who, and, the issues right next to their heart are, just the issues that Jeb Bush talks about. And he is designed to win these voters. Now, for Wisconsin and Michigan, I think these could be close as well. Now, Oregon's obviously be the closest state, but I think Wisconsin and Michigan, those are really close too. And I think it comes down to a few demographics. First of all, in Wisconsin, I think that, first of all, Democrats, this is a fact. Democrats need to do better with flight attendants who are Taylor Swift fans, and that's a fact. We cannot, Democrats cannot afford to lose flight attendants who are Taylor Swift fans. Because if they continue to do that, they're probably going to lose Door County. And when they lose Door County, they're probably going to lose Wisconsin. We also have to remember, now, in terms of northern Wisconsin, people who enjoy skiing in their free time are 10 times more likely to vote Republican. And for that reason, I think Wisconsin probably going to go for Jeb Bush. Michigan, I think that people who enjoy riding boats while singing songs, I think that is a solid voting block for Jeb, and I just don't see how John Delaney can overcome it. So for that reason, I think Jeb Bush does end up winning this election. It's close, if Delaney wins the tilt states, he can really win. But I think John Delaney, just not a good meme, or he's just not a strong enough meme to unseat King Jeb. And, really, I think that I can really get behind a Jeb Bush presidency. I think that he'd be a strong leader. He's trusted leadership for a stronger America. It's in the logos. So I think that basically means he should be a good president. So, again, this was a joke. If you couldn't tell, I don't know. But this was a joke video. This was clearly just me making up random stuff, like random demographics off the top of my head, and sometimes pausing the recording to think. But that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in a few days. Goodbye.